know me, which is probably everyone in here, I got invited by Mike Healy to come hang out with you guys and facilitate a conversation. So, you know, we've got about 10 or 15 people on at the moment, and yeah, I don't want to be sitting here just talking to a blank screen. So if you do have any questions or anything like pops up, let's have a dialogue, you know, and let's really step into what you might need or want to get from this, because I can run this presentation thousands and thousands of times, but ultimately, if it's not relevant to you in the context of your life, then it's just more noise. So, are you guys cool to do that? You can give us a thumbs up or just a little in the thanks, Alexandre, in the chat box. So self-care is the topic today, and I frame this for high impact humans. And the reason why I talk about high impact humans is because the whole self-care journey is very much, I don't know, we've probably already all been in that space where we've needed a health change, or we've hit a point of desperation physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, whatever it is. All these things impact our general health of well-being, our vitality, our vibration, our energy, what we attract into our life, and also how we show up, right? So self-care is not just about like me, it's about the communities that support us and nourish us. There's this beautiful concept of like blue zones in the world, places where people live beyond the age of 85. They don't, cancer isn't even like a conversation. You know, diabetes, type 2 diabetes isn't even a conversation. Obesity isn't a conversation. Mental health issues aren't really a conversation. And when you sit back with that and you kind of sit there and you go, well, holy shit, like I've been trying to fix myself for this whole time, getting passive care from all these people trying to buy solutions. And maybe I didn't need to be fixed. Maybe I just needed to be nourished. Maybe I needed to be in a supportive community and environment, natural environment as well, that really supports my longevity, right? And then, you know, when your human vessel is going good, you can kind of show up in a different space. You can think clearly, you can consciously engineer, you can manifest, you can transcend, or you might just want to hang out and surf on an island, whatever it is for you, right? So there's this concept of self-care, which I think a lot of people think is about me, but I really want to shift the framework and talk about self-care from the point of we, the collective, because ultimately, like my fate is going to be entwined in yours. Now I'll get to that in a second. So to start off with, I don't know how long you guys have been on here for, but let's just take a deep breath. I'll explain why in a second. Just breathe in through your nose, breathe out. I know we're not sitting in Ubud, but I just want you to sit there and just really become consciously aware of your breath. Like that little energetic thing that happened there, oxygen, the most vital nutrient in your body, perfused into your lungs, perfused into your blood, perfused into your cells, it then permits life. Imagine if the air quality here was foul and it was polluted, right? All of a sudden, there's certain things that are going to get caught up in our little filter, which is our lungs, which then can lead to uncontrolled, you know, cell growth and things down in the future. But the beauty is that breath is life. And that's like the simplicity of all of this. So think about this, right? When my 27-year-old dad met my 44-year-old mum in Perth, Western Australia, dad's from a German background, mum's from an Irish-Scottish background. They met in Perth, the most isolated little city in the world, I think separate to Hawaii and a couple of places there. And heat of passion, had sex under a tree in our front yard. And then boom, 9 months later, like Rory was born. And, you know, that's the honesty of the situation. A completely chance meeting of two human beings, biological, chemical reaction, boom, life. Did they want to have me? Did they not want to have me? You know, it's a different question. It's like it's a philosophical question, but whatever happened, they chose for me to be born. So all of a sudden there's this thing where the chance of me as a human being taking my first breath was like a 1 in 4 trillion, 1 in 5 trillion chance. And some really smart scientists got together and like put all the data together and they're like, well, it's a 1 in 4 to 5 trillion chance of taking your first breath. And the reason I share that is because I think a lot of us forget that. And we become very caught up in being busy. And we forget that every single breath is a freaking miracle. And I'm not saying that in just the woo-woo Ubud sense. I'm saying that in the scientific sense, but I'm also saying that in just the gratitude and the simplicity of being here, present right now, listening to the conversation sense. And then from there, what happens is we start to look up at the stars at night. And I want to like just touch into a couple of these statistics, right? Because I know a lot of us are probably evidence-based, but we share the same elemental building blocks: carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, sulfur, chinops, they call it, 6 key elements for life. Same elements from the stars, like 97%, just a different configuration, but the same. Same in the soil, same in the plants we eat, same in our human vessel. And then together we share very similar elemental building blocks. So all of a sudden there's this interconnection of all things. Health and well-being is more than just, you know, eating the plants with those little elemental building blocks, or eating from the soil with those elemental building blocks, or from the air. It becomes something very circular, right? Genetically, you know, you might look at us on this screen, or, you know, look at me as this Aussie dude living in Bali and be like, we're different. And it's like, well, actually we're 99.5% genetically the same. The 0.05% is the reason why my head's a bit longer. Maybe my nose is a bit bigger. My mustache grows like this. My skin color is like this, but that's the 0.05%. And I think there's something, if by the end of this conversation, you get to the point we start focusing on the 99.5% of things that makes us similar and connected versus the 0.05% of stuff that makes us different. If I can just shift that conversation and just change that perspective, then all of a sudden we're all human, and then we can start to have a conversation about how we can help each other thrive together. I don't know if you've ever eaten a banana, but you're about 70% same genetic building blocks as a banana. So when they say like eat more plants, you know, you're just basically eating what you need to survive and thrive. Average human lifespan is 71.2 years. It's exactly half of what our human potential is. We could live to about 100, and I think it's about 40, maybe 42. If we had cryotherapy, we can probably bypass time a little bit, but that's half a human potential, exactly half of what, you know, what is possible. We've had women like Jean Clement in France, who's lived to 120, 122. She had a shot of whiskey every morning. She lived to 120 plus. Like it's, so there's something in what she knows, and these blue zone communities know, that is the key to longevity, is the key to health and well-being, is the key to vitality. And the beautiful thing is a lot of these people live without restriction too. So it's not like they're getting there and kind of like falling into their grave. They're getting there and they're still climbing trees at the age of 97. So there's something in this, right? So I want to share those secrets today. From your first breath, you get about 623,000 hours. So when they say don't waste an hour of your life, they're being literal. You know, if you live 71, 72 years, that's how many hours you get. You sit there on Facebook scrolling for 2 hours. Just, I want you to remember that. That's 1 hour of your time that you're never going to get back. It's the reason why in business we say value your time. When you buy something, when you actually buy something, I can't remember who shared this. I think it was the Uruguayan president, but he's like, you're not buying it with money. You're buying it with the time you spent to earn that money to buy that thing. So you're buying it with time. And then it's all of a sudden the value of our time and what we exchange then becomes a whole different conversation, right? We have 37.2 trillion cells, and about at least 1 to 2 times, up to 10 times of those cells is bacteria. So there's a conversation that we're actually more bacteria than we are human cells, which is freaking crazy. So 37.2 trillion human cells. We've got 370 plus maybe trillion bacterial cells, obviously at different sizes, living microbiome in and on our body. Our gut is a microbiome. Our human vessel is a microbiome. Everything is. We live within this big biome, which is Earth, right? And then we've got 50 million cells that replace themselves every single second. Boom, 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 without conscious design. You know, like 50 million cells, man, every single second. It's just like, the point is this human vessel is so freaking amazing. This thing that like nature gave us, the thing that, you know, the 1 in 5 trillion chance of me being born from my mum and dad having sex under a tree is fucking amazing. I am going to swear because it is freaking amazing. 115,000 heartbeats, 86 million bits of information per day. Over 70% of us is water. One breath, miracle. Thumbs up if you just get the context for how awesome our human vessel is. Yeah? All right, sweet. So now I'm going to see if I can move this out of the way. But I just want to figure out how you guys are all embracing the pause right now. And the reality of the situation is that the whole world has stopped. First time in my 32 years of life, the whole world has stopped. And I think this little story that popped up a couple of months ago really sums it up. So whilst I'm just reading this and having a conversation with you, just maybe share what comes up for you about how you're embracing this pause. Has it created more stress? Has it created more time to really hone in and focus on the 20% that generates 80% of maybe your money or your resources or your happiness in your life? But the rich industrialist was horrified to find a fisherman lying beside his boat smoking a pipe. And it said, why aren't you out there fishing? Asked the industrialist. Because I've caught enough fish for the day, says the fisherman. And he said, well, why don't you go catch some more? And he's like, well, what would I do with them? Well, I guess you could earn more money. Then you could have a motor fitted to your boat, go deeper into waters and catch more fish. Then you could have enough money to buy nylon nets. These would bring you more fish and more money. Soon you would have enough money to own 2 boats, maybe even a fleet of boats. And then you would be a rich man like me. And then the fisherman looks at him and says, well, what would I do then? And he said, well, then you would sit back and enjoy life. And he goes, well, what do you think I'm doing right now? And it's like, boom, pause. A lot of us have been seeking this gratification and this immediate gratification and this happiness and this sense of connection outside of ourselves for so long. And the truth is that we've been busy being busy. And we've created environments and cultures and societies that kind of permitted that and made that the normal. And now we're all stopping and pausing. And I'm not sure if I'm the only one, but my gut feeling is I'm connecting a lot more inward. I'm definitely refining a lot of things. I'm getting rid of a lot of the noise. And then all of a sudden, the simplicity comes back. And it's like, holy shit, I can be happy right now. I thought a bliss moment coming down the road the other day on my scooter as my girlfriend was having a nut allergy, like, what's it called? An allergic reaction. And I was like, whoa, I was like, that is the thing that caused a bliss moment. And then I kind of stood back and I was like in a peace. And I was like, I'm there with someone that I love, caring for her, in this beautiful culture. I've got the freedom and the time to be able to go out of my way to help her and make sure that she's okay. And then all was okay because her body's amazing and it's a miracle. And then we're heading back home and we got us some food on the way home. And the fact that we could just spend money to buy that and then headed back and we just kind of chilled in our little villa and life kind of went on. I was like, boom, like that was the thing that allowed for inner peace and bliss. And I was like, whoa, I thought it'd be like once I get to the top of the mountain, once I do the Himalayan thing, once I like release the self-care book, like once I release the platform, once I change the world, once I impact like 1 million people. But it was like the simplicity of the fisherman was like, well, you can have it right now. So I just want to really frame that as well. 1, you're a miracle. And 2, just to frame that you can have everything that you want. You can tune into the abundance in this moment, even like right now. So why should you listen to me about this topic? Well, you don't have to really, that's the beauty, but hopefully there's something in my journey that inspires you to stay connected. And my job is I used to look for gurus, but now I look for mentors that show me where to look and they don't tell me what to see. And I got taught coming through the Western medical system, growing up in Australia, to be a guru, to be an expert, to be evidence-based, you know, and have everything kind of sorted. But the truth is, I did all that. I studied sports science to be a better athlete. I studied physiotherapy to learn how to fix broken athletes. At 26, I was senior physio of the sporting team that I played football for. And I was kicking goals. All my buddies were like, cool, you've got degrees, you know, you've got a beautiful girlfriend, you got family. Everything seemed to be right. And I'm not sure if anyone can relate to that, but on paper, everything looked amazing. But then all of a sudden, there was a moment at 26 where I just couldn't get out of bed one morning. And it was like, literally couldn't get out of bed. Alarm clock went off 6, 7 times, meant to get up at 6 o'clock, had patients backed up, practice managers calling me. And she's like, message. And I literally could not get out of bed. I had no energy left at all. I was like an iPhone battery on like 1%. And then I guess that's when like I really sat back in that moment and I was like, wow, am I really doing the thing that is really lighting me up? Because it led me to this point. And I asked myself 3 questions. I was like, Roars, are you happy? And I said, no. I said, Roars, are you healthy? I said, no. And I said, Roars, do you feel connected to yourself, to your purpose, to your passion? And I said, no. So I said no to all 3 questions. And I want to ask you right now, and if anyone feels, you know, feel free to share, but ask yourself those 3 questions. Like, are you healthy? Like really healthy? Like I had to step back and be like, Rose, you can't even get out of bed right now. I'd look at myself in the mirror and be like, man, you've got no energy to even get through the day without 3 naps and 2 coffees. Are you connected? Like internally, are you connected with yourself? Are you connected with your partner? Or are you just like ships passing in the night? Are you connected to your family, to your culture? Or are you kind of isolated? I think a lot of us are isolated right now. And then I guess the other one is healthy, happy, connected. So are you happy? like real, like that happiness where you kind of get up out of bed and you got that vitality, the way you show up, your energy influences the energy of others? Or are you just doing your gratitudes in the morning, trying to be happy, trying to rewire your mind, but deep down, you're not feeling that essence of what, really makes you happy? So just ask yourself those three questions. Are you healthy? Are you happy? And do you feel connected? And I find whenever I get to a point in my life where I'm unsure, I ask myself those questions. And if I can't answer yes to all three, I change something. I pivot something. And if I'm there for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I change a big thing. Might be changing my environment, might be changing my relationship, might be changing my job, might just be changing the strategy or whatever I was doing. Because obviously, if it was leading me to feeling that way, then it wasn't serving me, and it wasn't serving the people I cared about. So just want to share a little bit about that. And then after 26 to 28, I learned how to fill my own cup. I learned how to serve from overflow. The self-care framework was this beautiful journey. I ended up in Bali doing the spiritual stuff, buying the elephant pants. I ended up doing like NLP. I ended up doing Tony Robbins' course, Lisa Nichols, going down the cognitive behavioral loop, partnered with a nutritional company, went into plant-based medicine, went into all, the quality of the soil as the quality of the plants, the nutrients in the soil as the nutrient in our cells. Started looking at telomere support. I looked at things like longevity. Started looking into, workers' medicine, different ways of being an entrepreneur, freeing your time, freeing your location, how you live in Bali versus how do you live, create a traditional business. And all of a sudden, all these things influenced how I felt and how I could fill my own cup each day. So then this whole framework became good health and well-being. It wasn't just like what you eat and how you move and your purpose. It became something so much more. So these are the three things I want to share with you today. And if you just take a snapshot of this, and this is all you get from this, then epic. On the left-hand side, there's 12 medicines. So these are the 12 paradigms that we all need to address in our lives to figure out whether we're serving from overflow. And the thing is, you might be really good at the gym. You're really good at the movement-based stuff, but you're eating shitty food every day. Or you might have the best job in the world, working 100 hours a week like me, but I had no time to go for a surf. So my lifestyle was terrible. And I might have been working really hard, but making no money. So I had no freedom. And then all of a sudden that affected my mental health. So my mind was medicine, but I was living in a low vibration. And then all of a sudden my work environment was really not nourishing. If anything, it was taking me down a spiral towards feeling anxious and down in the dumps. I didn't have time to spend in nature. I wasn't having these lifestyle habits and choices that really ignited my human potential through epigenetics. That wasn't happening. I was probably spending too much time on technology, like writing reports and things like that. I was relying on modern medicine. I spent close to $100,000 trying to buy my health back, getting blood tests into Germany and all this type of stuff. And all I had to do was really step back and start to really prioritize myself in the context of my own life. And then over a 12-month period, I started to move up the health spectrum. And then all of a sudden things started to shift and change. So just think about the 12 medicines in the context of your own life. Where are you doing really well? And where are you maybe lacking? And it's like the genius thing, like obviously focus on your strengths, but if there's something or a mentor or someone or a community that can help you in another area, then go connect in with them and then fill that part of your cup and then fill the next part of your cup. But as an example, if there's a lot of people that are trying to sustain a healthy weight and it's like, okay, cool, well, I'm going to go to the gym to do that. It's like, no, that's like the 5%. Find the 80%. And you're like, okay, well, it's food. And it's like, well, maybe it's not. What's the emotional drive or the boredom, the stress that drives you to eat the food that you know isn't bad for you? So then you go back to your job and you're like, holy shit, it's actually my job that's making me overweight and stressed. So then you change that. And then all of a sudden you've got time to eat better, you got time to move. And then all of a sudden the weight naturally comes off. So this is what this framework I really want to teach you. And then on the right-hand side or the middle is this concept, the ripple effect. And we get to a point where we serve our own cup, we fill our own cup, and then we want to serve from overflow. And everyone wants to change the world. But what I'd suggest is maybe just learn how to serve your proximity. Prove that you can help your friends, your family, your local community. Because if we all did just that, we learn how to sweep our own front doorstep before we try to save the world, then I think we could create this ripple effect of change that would really help things. And this is relevant to your business. It's relevant to your passion, your purpose, your startup, your launch, your product, whatever it is. Impact one person, impact 10 people, impact 100. And then obviously to impact 1,000, you need to help people, right? And this is where the ripple effect really happens. And on the right-hand side is a big vision, which is good health and well-being for all people, the sustainable development goals. This is something that we can all work towards in the context of our own life and in the context of our own business, our own purpose, and have get 10 years down the track and be like, cool, did we actually have an impact on extreme poverty? is it cool that like 80% of people live on $10 a day? 80% of the world's population lives on $10 a day. 80%. That's like 8 in 10 people, man. You know, it's just, it blows my mind. It blows my mind that 1 billion people are going to go to bed hungry tonight. It blows my mind that 1 in 2 people that I love and care about are going to get cancer in this lifetime. It blows my mind that 7 out of 10 people are going to have a restricted human vessel and going to have their quality of life shortened because of the lifestyle choices and the environments that promoted those lifestyle choices. So it's like, as a young man, I just got to a point where being a health professional lost his health. I was like, this is incongruent. So just a quick question before we go any further. Has anyone had a moment of desperation where you felt like you just need to change something? I'll just hold space. Feel free to share. Feel free to not share. It's up to you. But has there ever been a point of desperation that's made you go, you know what, I'm just going to change something? Me to we. Love it, Vishal. Itchy from Bali. I'm listening whilst driving. Good stuff. Great to hear. But does anyone want to share anything that, you know, a desperation point? Something that made you pivot left, right?
I'll be happy to share, Rory.
Alexander, go, man.
I mean, everybody's got them. I believe, like, if you don't have them, then you're not living the human experience. Or you're faking your reality, trying to stay safe. Whereas, you know, it's not necessarily like such a safe place, but everything is safe at the same time. It's kind of like the catch-22. As far as my personal experience, I went through a really drastic change in my own life, my own perspective, physically and emotionally and spiritually last year. Both my brother and my dad passed away at a 17-day interval, both from personal choice, and for very different reasons. So that was very unique set of circumstances, let's say. Then thereafter, I went on a beautiful retreat in Costa Rica with a group called One Heart for ayahuasca retreats, and that opened up a lot of perspective, you know, in addition to all the work that I was already doing, because I've been practicing yoga and meditation, intermittent fasting, you know, all the health tip, and really trying to be the best kind of human we can perceive to be, you know, as we try to move away from our inherited mammalian behaviors and fear-based reaction, you know, to life.
Yep.
That plus, I was being as an illegal immigrant in the US, as all of that was happening for the last 2 months, because I had just closed down my company that I was working on for 3 years on.
Yep.
And now I'm in London. It's a year later, a little bit less than a year, because I moved to London in May. Yeah. And I have a new business, which is the first eco-sustainable gym, and we plant trees also for every workout, and we've already planted 10,000 trees. And life is
a tree for every workout.
Yes, a tree for every workout.
Yeah, epic. Exactly. Man. I love that.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's really fun. And yeah, it's just, you know, as soon as for me, it's really this, you know, like I had like a huge break, obviously, in my perception of reality on so many levels, and a breakdown of ego in many ways, which you never really like get to have no ego, but you get to work on having no ego throughout your whole life. Constantly. And I started, you know, practicing these techniques that Joe Dispenza speaks in his book, Becoming Supernatural, if you have read it or not. And all these things started happening very rapidly, and coming into creation very rapidly, just because of the basis of trust and and surrendering to the experience, and just putting out there the right vibration, the right energy, and things started materializing in very different way than you initially think, but in very similar way to what you actually want. So it's kind of amazing.
Yeah. Dude, I just want to take a minute just to really appreciate your vulnerability with that, man. It, you know, it sounds like I just reflect from an empathetic point of view. If I lost 2 family members in the period of 17 days, you know, from some suicide, it's just, I don't know how I would react. I'd like to think that I would use it for a positive end goal, but no, just really appreciate you sharing that.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for sharing your story as well.
Yeah, no worries, man. And I think we've got 5 minutes left, so I do want to give you a couple little nuggets. And there's three key questions I had to ask myself along the way. And I did show this, right? I talked about, you know, living in a state of dis-ease, dysfunction, good health, or longevity. Now I'm going to give you the stats without playing this game, but 95% of people are in the red and the orange zone. Let me say that again, 95% of people are in the red or the orange zone. So even if you think you're living in a state of good health and well-being, you're probably living with some level of dysfunction. Maybe not disease. Remember I said 1 in 2 people are living with a chronic preventable disease right now. 7 in 10 will leave this world because of that. So 50% of the 8 billion people are already in that red zone. The other, you know, 3.5 billion are in the orange zone, which leaves like, you know, 500 million people in the green and the blue zone. And the reason why I'm here on this call today is because I just believe that should be the exact opposite. I reckon the 95% should be in the green and the blue zone, and then there's the 5% in the red and the orange. So whatever we've done to create a world where that is the normal is not the normal that I want to be part of. It's not the normal that I want to bring my kids up in. It's not the future generation. It's not the thing that I want to hand over to future generations. So the whole Selfcare Global movement is about this. The reason why I left the healthcare system, still as a health professional, I believe ancient wisdom and modern medicine is a beautiful place for it all. It's not about separation. It's about using the best tools to help each other thrive together and move up the health spectrum together and be very solutions focused, not just evidence focused. Nature's got 4.5 billion years of evidence. We just came into this beautiful reality 200,000 years ago and created mental constructs for what we think we know is true. But this is the end result. And Dr. Jane Goodall says it really well. If we are actually the cleverest species in the world, then why are we the only ones that have had this mass extinction of all these animals that are in the world with us, that no longer exist? I think it was like 60% in the last 50 years. Why are we the only animals that destroy the natural environments that support us, our life support system? So maybe we're not that smart. Maybe this pause is about really addressing that as a collective group. And I love the thing that you talked about, Alexandre, having a conscious business where you keep people moving, but for every workout, you plant a tree. You understand something so innately profound that if everyone just got that point, this whole unconference would be worthwhile. If we planted a tree for every single thing that we did, we'd have a bucket load of trees, but the trees are just the essence, the plants are the essence of everything that permits us to live. Remember that first breath we talked about? That oxygen is permitted by one tree. By one tree. If we don't have trees, we don't have oxygen, we don't have life. So it's like by planting trees, you promote life and the circular economy, the I Ching, the Tao Ching, you know, the Book of Changes, all these things come into play, all the ancient wisdom, all the ancient texts come into play by that one action. So we really want to celebrate you for that. And if anyone else does understand that, you know, he's in a place where he's filled his own cup. He's had life experiences, a human experience, but he still chooses to show up, to serve, to help create a ripple effect, and even just one tree. So these are the questions I want to leave you with, and we don't need to give you an answer because I've only got 2 minutes, but are you being the passenger or the driver of the human experience right now? Are you giving your keys away, or you grab the keys and you cast your own future vision? You're consciously engineering your own future vision. What have you accepted as being normal? Have you accepted that 95% being normal? Because if you have, then that's part of the problem, willful ignorance. I don't want to see 9 in 10 out of my friends and family going through those pains and accepting it as being normal and spending $50,000 of chemotherapy in the last 5 years of life when they could have handed that over to their future generations to perpetuate their legacy. I don't want to see that. How do you help a flower bloom in the way that nature intended? Do you fix the flower or do you do something else? So I mentioned 1 in 10 people. These are the people I care about. These are the people I love. This is a hard truth. All these facts are on Selfcare Global. This is going to be in the book that's coming out in about 2 months. I spent the last 5 years putting this together. So I had a framework with the evidence, with the ancient wisdom, so you can just have it and share it with people you care about. I've made money doing other things. This is a passion project. This is the ikigai. The solution, if you want to choose a different normal, then we need to know that 95% of stuff is completely preventable. To do that, we need to have one approach. We need to focus on optimizing human potential, and well-being is a lifelong process, not a quick fix, not a vaccine, nothing, right? It's about so much more. We need to connect humans back with nature. It needs to be this interconnected approach. Planting a tree is an example of that. We need to tune into the 12 medicines individually. Do we have 2 people to confide in, 5 high-vibing people we spend most of our time with? Nature, do we spend 90 minutes in nature? All these things are part of it, right? Lifestyle, modern medicine, do we use it to support natural processes or replace it? So when answering these questions, the solution to, do we fix a flower, or how do we help a flower bloom? When a flower doesn't bloom, you fix the environment in which it's trying to grow. The Greta Thunbergs of the world, these young voices, they understand something inherent, that we need to fix the environments in which we're trying to grow. My dad, I wish he had that environment. In terms of moving up the health spectrum, it's about connection. Connection is the key to longevity, strength of our social connections and our relationships. Global blue zones are a great example of that. Are you the passenger or driver? You just got to remember this one thing: 95% of who you are and who you become is within your control. It's within your lifestyle choices. Starting today, cast a new vision, create different choices, surround yourself in different environments, different people that promote that. So guys, I got a lot more stuff to share with you, but we don't really have time. I can tune in if anyone wants to do a chat with me at any stage. I'm happy to jump on a podcast, happy to help out. But if you do want to stay in touch, jump on selfcare.global, download the free ebook, jump in the self-care group, and we just have this conversation all day long with anyone that's keen to do that. So all good, Vishal. Thank you so much, guys. Big love to you all. I'm not sure who we're handing over to next, but I'll stick around and I'll give you my time in the same way that you guys shared yours. If you have any comments, feel free to shoot below as well, and I'll get back to you personally. All good. Asha, glad to see you stuck around, man. And let me know if you've got anything out of it. All right. Very interesting topic. It is indeed. Who have we got coming on next? Just see if I can. Oh, this is our last session. Oh, epic. Well, does anyone have any questions? Any questions? If you have any questions, guys, I'll keep the thread open, but feel free to shoot off and enjoy the rest of your day.
I'd love to have a question, Roy.
Yeah, shoot, man.
Can you talk a little bit more about your personal journey with this endeavor of fillyourcup.com, and like how long have you been working on it, and what's your objective? How are you doing with it?
Yeah, good, man. It's basically a framework. So selfcare.global is the overarching brand, and we've just got to change the HTTP or whatever on the website. But it started off as fill your cup, so learning how to fill your own cup and serve from overflow. And then it evolved in this concept of self-care, which was flipping it from passive healthcare to empowered self-care. And I just became inspired, by hanging around certain people over my life, and they just gave me permission to think a bit bigger. And I knew I had the educational background. I was fortunate enough to go to university. I got to dissect human bodies. I had a whole human body for a year, so I got to see everything in the flesh. I was able to separate DNA onto a stick. So I saw the genetic blueprint for life on a stick. And then through my own human experience, I felt the highs of optimal performance playing football with some really high level athletes who have gone on to be really either Olympic athletes or AFL players in Australia. So I felt what it felt like to really push my human vessel at that level. But then as a health professional, I lost my health. So it was this weird dichotomy of I became part of the statistics that I was there to change, but I've also been able to operate at the highest level. And in between is this education and learning, and probably the biggest lesson came from when I hit rock bottom, and I had to actually learn how to earn my health back. And it made me realize the most important thing, that, you know, like, my health is all that really matters. Because as soon as I had a point where I didn't think I was ever going to feel normal again. And that was like, that almost sent me into this like deep downward spiral of depression. But then finding the solutions and just remaining solutions focused, even after spending $100,000 and not feeling any better, it made me realize there was so much simplicity in it, man. And that's been the driver, is basically, one, that whole journey to get to that point, to be smart, to be knowledgeable, to be an expert. But then as a customer or a patient or a person, just learning how to really optimize my own human best and earn my health back. And then getting out of that kind of rabbit hole, and then looking back down, and then learning that, you know, 5 in 10 people that I care about are in that rabbit hole, or like 9 in 10 people that I care about are in that rabbit hole. So then I became inspired to create the Fill Your Cup methodology, the self-care platform, have more conversations like this, more courageous conversations. And then I actually started working with health and lifestyle entrepreneurs like yourself. And I started helping them have a bigger impact. I started integrating these frameworks into their life, and then finding ways of, you know, helping them create a bigger ripple effect. And then it's just circulated back around, and that's kind of where I'm at the moment, man.
Outstanding, brother. Super nice.
Yeah. Does that answer the question?
What was the question again? I'm just kidding. Of course it answered the question.
Yeah, just give me a bit more context to it, man.
No, it's better. It's nice to have like good perspective on like the full a greater perspective is always better, I feel.
Yeah, it's very humbling, man. And also it's very simple. It's like, I very much believe that, like, it's very easy for people to make something complex more complex, but the ultimate mastery is when someone can make something complex like so simple that a 6-year-old can understand it. You know, it's like you do a workout, you plant a tree, that's simple. But the complexity behind what that actually does in the world is vast. You know, so it's like, I think there just needs to be more people like you out there, and more people having these conversations and really tuning into that simplicity, man. So just keep going and don't stop. Hey, it sounds like you got a pretty powerful story that's going to keep driving you anyway.
Yeah, and likewise, back at you. There is definitely a need for free-minded leaders and enlightened beings, but at the same time, I feel like there's so many more of us than ever. And thanks to the information age and technology that's connecting us all to share more, it's also like doing this reaffirmation of that flow that we're creating, you know, and we're creating a bigger flow, and more people are joining, and more people are getting aware. And I really feel like it's an upward spiral. I can really feel it myself.
It's I feel the same, man. Even during this crisis, right? I feel like that everyone's realizing that they have everything they need. You know what I mean? Like, the abundance is available to freaking everyone, and you don't need $100,000 to tune into it. It's like, you know, even in Bali, it was a great example with my partner Lo. Like, we were like, man, we could live a very comfortable lifestyle for $500 a week here. You know, have a beautiful villa like this, surf every day, have enough food, water, and resources to go out and have some dinner, maybe even have a wine if we wanted. And we could live this way for the rest of our life and be very content, you know? And I was like, whoa, it's like, in that moment, it's like, what else do you really need? You know? So obviously resources, time, energy, and connection, all that other stuff, but that doesn't necessarily require money. And now money's come out of the picture for a lot of people, and they're starting to see that there's a lot of abundance. And like you talk about, that upward spiral is happening. And I think that, you know, it always comes out of a point of desperation, or it just tends to, I guess.
I read an article from one of the founders of the retreat I went to in Costa Rica, which is called One Heart, by the way. Maybe you want to check it out.
Yeah. Love Costa Rica.
OneHeart.com. They are like elevating leaders, mainly entrepreneurs. And so they they do retreats with only entrepreneurs and thinkers and creators, and it's pretty powerful. And so he wrote an article on the COVID situation and the lockdown, and how it's actually very similar to a psychedelic experience. Because people are, spending a lot of time with themselves, and they're facing their fears, and they have to like reinvent their routine, reinvent themselves. It's all this stuff that we've been not looking at because we've been distracting ourselves with other things, keeping ourselves busy, is now kind of coming out, and we have to deal with it somehow. So I think it's going to be really amazing to see how this moment changes onward, because it's creating like an energy vortex for everybody to kind of make some space in their mind and move on to something a little bit deeper.
Yeah, and I feel that 10 years ago, like after the GFC, it was like 2008, right? Nearly 10 years ago. It was like to that point of desperation, like money was kind of like a lot of it just disappeared. Superannuation funds, like things just disappeared. So then the blockchain came out of the back of that, and this balanced ledger for money came out. And then all of a sudden the Airbnbs, the Ubers, these shared economies, these circular economies started to evolve and adapt. And it's like, I feel like we're in that moment at the moment. And it's like, I'm just really curious to see what comes out of this moment. Like I know that Selfcare Global is going to come out of this moment. I hope that it could be something that is like the Airbnbs of Ubers of health, right? Something that really creates that ripple effect of change. But there's so many factors to it. There'll be so many other elements that are going to come out of this time. And already weaving through. Awesome, Vishal. Enjoy. But it's I think that this is one of the times where we'll in 10 years time we'll I don't know if we've got kids or we'll have our partner or whoever we're chatting with, and we'll kind of look back and like, whoa, that's where that thing started. And I was like, what an amazing time. The whole world paused for like 3 to 6 months, and we got scared about this virus that had always been there, and but ultimately none of us really challenged it because we enjoyed the pause. We enjoyed slowing down. We enjoyed, the isolation, even in its connection. So it'll be such a beautiful, it'll be a beautiful conversation to have in 10 years time, and just to see what really comes out of this.
Absolutely. And it has to be that way. I mean, I'm sure we're going to look at it as a great blessing.
Yeah. Well, we can look at, you shared something very vulnerable about 2 of your family members passed away. And it's like, for me, mental health, especially in males, is such a big thing. And I think we can all relate to it from our own human experience. And for any females as well, I'm sure they can relate to it in their own way, right? But to understand that the leading cause of death for people like you and me under the age of 35 is the fact that they choose to take their own life. It's like there's this biological organism that is primed for survival. Like everything in its reptilian brain promotes survival. Like my dad, he was an alcoholic in the sense that he lived homeless in the streets that I grew up in, but I never saw him as an alcoholic. He was just a human that numbed his pain with a mind-altering substance and led him to be in that point. But man, he had 45 lives. I saw this guy survive. Like his body was built for survival. But then somewhere along the way, we create an environment that is not conducive to human beings wanting to live anymore. And it's like, whether that's something that we create externally, or whether it's something we create internally, or whether it's something that we promote through whatever way, it leads to that statistic being really true. And I'm sure you're on the same wavelength with me, and not just like mentally, but emotionally, that's just not right, man. Whatever environments we've created the last 5, 10, 20, 50 years, it just isn't right. It's not the right environment for human beings to thrive and survive together. So something's got to shift, man.
Absolutely.
Vishal?
Someone is chatting.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm totally with you there. Some of us are really blessed, and we're able to choose the people that we have in our lives. But a lot of these people that have regular jobs, and I was one of them, you don't always get to choose the energies that you are surrounding the majority of your conscious experience with, the way they make you feel. And, you know, it's my intention to like really liberate these people and yeah, get rid of all this loneliness and all of these things using technology. And that's why I'm really like impressed with what you're doing with your movement.
True.
Thanks, Vishal. Thanks, man. And you're right. It like even when I had my dream job, I was in an environment with, 4 out of 5 practitioners that I worked with were walking around with blood pressure monitors on. We're healthy young individuals, and I'm like, what type of world is it where like 4 out of 5 health professionals are walking around with like these blood pressure monitors? And it was literally because our stress was so freaking high intrinsically that our autonomic and our parasympathetic nervous system was just like on high alert. And then we're drinking coffee to get through the day, so our blood pressure just elevated. And it was just like 4 out of 5 healthy young health professionals were walking around with this. This is a moment where I was like, holy shit! Like I didn't essentially choose that environment, but I chose the job. I chose to say yes to be in that environment, and it was very easy for me to say choose no to get out of it. But there had to be a process of like finding a different way to make money to cover human needs, and then obviously the rest of the story kind of unfolds. But yeah, we don't consciously get to choose, but I think down the track there becomes a wake up moment that we do get to choose, and I think that's the most empowering thing.
I was going to say earlier, you asked a question, you know, like people going through struggle, and I didn't really want to say anything because obviously we've all had so many struggles, which one, you know, but one of the struggles that I still have is like, I feel like I'm not there yet, you know, at just the foundation. Like I want to be in a regenerative village now, and I'm not there yet. So in a way, that's kind of like a struggle. And every now and then I look at like cactuses that I like tropical climates. I'm in Tulum, Mexico. I was in Bali for 10 months. You should go check out the Nicks.
Awesome.
It's incredible. They got a food forest growing on their land as well. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Yeah.
Well, send me a message with that, dude. I'll just put my Instagram in there.
Okay, cool, bro.
Perfect. But Vishal, if I can just chime in on that, I have the same feeling, and right before you wanted to share as well. I wanted to like actually say that I feel the same way. You know, the thing is that there's a reality distortion happening right now, and we're, you know, on a very big scale, we're all awakening to different things, and as we awaken, we start to see how our systems and processes may not be the best suited for onwards, and we need to adapt to this reality, you know, through us. It's not going to adapt by itself. Like people have to do it, because we are. I was hearing this other person speaking, which said something really beautiful. He said, there is no such thing as us and nature. There's just nature. And we are like we are nature's way of fixing itself, if you want to see.
No, of course. Yeah. Wow. Hey man, I'm here to be dedicated towards nature. I've dedicated my mind, soul, spirit towards like really creating our ultimate reality, you know. I'm grateful to the plant medicine for guiding me there. I say the plants are more intelligent than we are, and so yeah, thank you so much. And I think that we have solutions now, and if we, I think the ultimate superheroes right now are the people who have come from like high-end backgrounds in the system and succeeding there, and they coming forth and becoming conscious. Because like I'm a software engineer, you know, a lot of really conscious people, they're hippies and stuff. They can't do anything, you know. But really, like as technologists, we can really weave the way, and it's already happening right now. And 10%, 7.9% of Americans have lost their job. That's a big play. That's a lot of people. In England, in Mexico, holy shit. The real sufferers right now from COVID are like these wives at home because families didn't expect the world to stop, and the world stopped, and not everyone has has savings, and baby food and stuff costs money, man. But anyway, This whole big picture. Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to get lost, man.
No,
No, you're good. That was just a big.
We all have so much in common, man. But I'm here to be dedicated towards creating new systems, and I'm here to create a system called Unite. I have the domain name unite.earth. I travel the world meeting game changers and leaders of organizations, and some of them include like Unify. I don't know if you've heard those guys, but we're going to connect with a lot of good people. And yeah, like we need to find a way to unite all of what we're doing. And ultimately, I want to see you guys in a regenerative freaking village, living in a beautiful house with which our own teams built. So all of a sudden, it doesn't cost fucking shit tons. I don't want to rip people off, bro. I want to make beautiful houses and have fun, you know, and liberate myself with all the time. And by doing so, I think people will be like, you know, the early adopters are ready for it already. There's like what's called an underserved market of conscious people that want to do the right thing, but the right thing doesn't even exist. Can I go rent a fucking tiny home? No. Why? It's fucking weird. You know, can I just go live in the wilderness in this beautiful place where all the amenities that I desire are there? And they're pretty simple things. I like coffee and stuff, you know. But anyway, I know that we can get these things, and I'm here to dedicate like my systems engineering towards it and my technology. And we can build teams and rock and roll. But anyway, I'm just here to you know, say that.
Hey Vishal.
Yeah, well, let's keep in touch.
Yes. Instagram.
So yeah, that's, and you know, Vishal, you mentioned that you've been to Bali, and you said that, you know, 7.9% of people in USA lost their jobs. I reckon about 50% of the Indonesian population lost their job overnight with no severance pay, no anything, man. I don't know if that stat's like legit exact, but it's like, it's pretty relevant. And it's, you know, this is a population that lives on $10 a day to feed a family. But one thing that's really interesting, man, is like there's not a lot of poverty. And I find that really freaking interesting, because a community that learned to live on $10 a day knows something that Western cultures does not. And that is that, you know, the farmer next door is a beautiful example. He crops a crop. He, you know, it essentially takes him 3 months. It's his like profitable project. He keeps 20% for his family. He takes 50% to the market, and he gives probably 20 or 30% back to the other farmers that help him crop the crop and plant the seeds in the first place. So there's this circular economy with everything that happens. And it's like, I think there's something that the Balinese culture and the Hindu culture knows that, and this is what I talk about the ancient wisdom, where we don't really need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to be reminded. We said that we're like, you know, we're all part of nature. Like we're just essentially plants with neurocortex and complex emotions. I know you've heard that before, but it's like, we're all part of the same thing. Even the technology, the elements that you use to make this computer, they're from the earth, you know? So the different elemental structure and makeup to what you and I are made out of, and it probably doesn't need to be in the human body, but still it's part of nature. So it's just it's a beautiful conversation, man. If you want to lead that and help remind the world and just help create that simplicity, then I'm on board. And anything you need going forward, just feel free to reach out.
Oh, thank you, brother. It's a blessing. And I'm the same, you know, I'm here to be symbiotic, and it should be win-win, and I'm all about that.
Hey guys, they're gonna be
Sorry, you went mute, dude. Okay.
Wait. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm saying that they're going to close the room. Just wanted to say that Roy, I think your Instagram handle is incorrect. I've been trying to look for it, didn't find it. Is it correct?
Rory KC, yeah.
Okay. Well,
one second. Yeah, it's at Rory KC.
Okay. I'll check again. For some reason, I was not finding it.
Yeah, otherwise selfcare.global is the other one.
All right, guys. Well, great to meet you both. Thank you so much.
Likewise. Peace out, guys, and thanks for joining the conversation.
Thank you, guys.
Peace and love.
To be continued.
Indeed.
See you, guys. Thank you.